So everyone, let's go. Hello everyone, I'm Priti and I'm your host to the session which is Feast Celebration of World Storytelling Day 2024. So World Storytelling Day is observed every year on the March equinox, which is usually on the 20th of March. It's a global celebration and it's especially about the art of oral storytelling. And it originated from a national storytelling day in Sweden. All Storytellers Day. I would attempt to pronounce it, but I'm sure I'll get the pronunciation wrong. But that's feast tradition, so I will go ahead. It says Alla Berättares Dag, All Storytellers Day. And this wonderfully global event is what we are celebrating today. And the lineup that we have for you, we might just as well be the federation of all storytellers and not just Asian storytellers, as we connect people and stories through the bridges of storytelling. This year's theme of building bridges is very apt. And, typically like it works in storytelling, today is World Harmony Day, where we're supposed to be fostering inclusiveness, respect, and the idea that people of different cultures can make a valuable contribution to society. And that is what storytellers are all about, are we not? So let's forge ahead. Let's build our bridges, make our connections, and do what we do best: tell and listen to stories. I'm going to welcome our very first teller today. Her name is Lavanya Prasad. And it is said that if you look with true devotion, it is possible to find God. So Lavanya is here to help us find that bridge between a devotee and his God with her story. Take it away, Lavanya.
Thank you, Priti. Good evening, everyone. Today, before I begin my story, I want you to pay attention to the word that I'm going to tell you now: Sat Sangam. It's rooted in a Sanskrit word and it is formed by connecting two words: Sat meaning truth and Sangam meaning association. So, Sat Sangam simply translates to being in the company of truth. Keep this word in mind as you listen to this story today. श्रीरामचन्द्र कृपालु भज मन भरण भव भयदारुणम् नवकञ्चलोचन कञ्चमुखकर कञ्च पदकञ्चारुणं श्रीराम Shri Ram. Ram Bola Dube. That was his name. He finished his morning prayers and he went to pour the excess water that he had in his kamandalam into the fig tree that was there right outside his house. This was his work every day. The excess water that he had after performing the puja, he would pour to the roots of the old fig tree that was there. You must all be wondering, Rambola? What a weird name that is, right? You will be surprised if I tell you that this man, when he was a boy inside, a baby inside the mother of his womb, he lived inside the womb for more than 12 months. And when he was born with all the 32 teeth intact. And so, when he came out, like all the other babies, he did not wail. Instead, he mouthed the words Ram, and hence the name Ram Bola, which means said the name of Ram. Haha. Now, even though he was born and he mouthed those auspicious words first, the astrologers who saw his birth chart told his parents that this might not be a very lucky child for you because he was born in a very inauspicious time. And so, poor thing, the parents abandoned him. The servant maid took pity on the little boy and she brought him up as his own. But as fate might have it, when Rambola was just 5 years of age, even the servant maid passed away. Rambola was left to face this cruel world without anybody's help, and so he was obviously very happy when he was adopted by the Vaishnava ascetic who every day told him the stories from Ramayana, the great Indian epic. And so, without saying, Ram Bola had only one mission in his life, and that was to witness his Lord Sri Ram at least once before his soul would exit out of this mortal body. And that is why he had made a trip to Kashi, the Punya Kshetra, or the most holy land for Hindus. And there he was sitting and doing his puja every day. Jai Shri Ram. Will I not get darshan of you, O Lord? And that day, as he was just pouring the waters, excess water from the Kamandalu to the roots of the tree, poof, came a spirit out of the tree. It looked at Rambola and said, "O my dear sire, you have quenched the thirst of the spirit and you have freed me from the bounds of this tree, and therefore I grant you a wish. Tell me, what would you want?" Now, Rambola was amazed to receive this unusual boon. And so, the first thing that came to my mind, he just looked at the spirit and said, "Oh, spirit, if there is something that you could grant me, then please let me see. Let me have the darshan of my Lord Ram at least once." Now, that might be very difficult, but then I can give you something else. I can lead you to a person who can make that possible. Now, listen carefully. O Rambola, every day in the evening, as you sit under the tree and recite the stories of Rama, there is one person who walks in first to your recital and leaves the last. He is none other than Vayuputra Hanuman, or the most ardent devotee of Lord Ram. If he thinks, he may be able to help you. Saying that, phew, the spirit disappeared. Rambola was overjoyed. That evening, he was just waiting for the recital to start, but the first person to walk in was an old leper, his body filled with wounds, pus oozing out from everywhere, and flies swarming around. The moment he walked in, the other people who were there, their faces just went in disgust and they moved away from him. It was as if this old leper wanted just that. He quietly went to a distant corner, sat, and closed his eyes as if in meditation, waiting for Ram Bola to start the recital. And as Ram Bola was telling the stories of Sri Rama, he could see the old leper sitting at that corner crying and chanting the name of Ram, and instantly he knew that it was none other than Hanuman himself. And so when the recital was over, all the people swarmed to Rambola to seek blessings. You know, that is how it was done all the time. Any Harikatha exponent, when they tell the stories of the Lord, people go and get their blessings. But Rambola's eyes were fixed on that old leper who was walking away, and this was his golden opportunity that he could not miss. And so he just pushed everybody and walked, ran in fact, and he held the leper's leg and said, "Please, please, please, Lord, you are the only person who could help me get the darshan of my Lord Ram. Please leave my legs. I'm an old leper. What can I do to you?" "No, no, no, you cannot tell this. I know who you are. You are none other than Vayuputra Hanuman, the most ardent devotee of Lord Ram. If you think you can help me get darshan of Lord Ram, please." Now, this time, the old leper did not say anything. He just freed himself and started running really fast. Rambola was following him, huffing and puffing. And do you think it is even possible to catch up with the son of wind, Vayuputra, Hanuman? And in no time, Hanuman disappeared. Rambola was standing there, not knowing what to do, huffing and puffing. When he turned, he just saw an old woman praying to a deity. He ran to her and said, "Did you happen to see Vayuputra Hanuman here? He just went by." The old woman amazement, and she pointed out to the idol that was there in front of her. And when Rambola saw it, it was the full size length idol of Vayuputra Hanuman himself. He sat down there, crying unconsolably. I have lost the golden chance, my lord. I thought you were my solace. I thought you will help me to see, witness, get darshan of Lord Ram. Why did you do this to me? As he was sitting there and crying, there was this light that emerged from the idol. And there he saw Hanuman standing in front of him. Hanuman looked at Ram Bolo and said, Are, what is your sankat? What is your grief? You want to get a darshan of Lord Ram, is it? Well, you will. Go to Chitrakoot tomorrow and there you will see him. Rampola was overjoyed. He packed whatever he had and he started walking towards Chitrakoot. Early in the morning, he just entered the borders of Chitrakoot when he saw two prince-like beautiful men coming in horse. He just looked at them and quickly walked past because he didn't want to miss a chance to see his Lord Ram. He waited until the sun went down, but there was no sign of Ram. He wailed out, calling out to Hanuman. Hanuman came and said, What is your problem now? I thought you will be really happy because you saw not only Ram but also Lakshman. It was only then. It was only then Rambola realized that the two prince-like men who was riding horse in front of him were indeed Ram and Lakshman. What a fool he must have been to just let go of that opportunity. Hanuman took pity on Rambola and he said, Well, don't you worry. Ram will give you darshan tomorrow too. Rambola somehow slept that night. He woke up early in the morning and he went to the banks of the Mandakini river. And there he was doing the sandalwood paste for all the saints who came to take bath there and giving it to each one of them, looking closely to see if this was Ram, is this Ram, is this Ram. But he did not notice the little boy who was standing in the line that day. Now Hanuman thought, Ayyo, what if he fails to recognize Ram today also? I better give him some clue. And so Hanuman took the form of a parrot and he went and sat on a tree right next to where Rambola was standing. And he said, चित्रकूट के घट पे भाई संतन की भीड़ तुलसीदास चंदन किसे थिलक देत रघुबीर, which meant many saints are gathered on this hill called Chitrakoot, while Tulsidas made Chandan, Lord Rama himself applied the tilak. The moment he heard the name Lord Ram, he froze, and in front of him was standing that little lad, Tulsidas. Yes, Ram Bola instantly knew that it was none other than Lord Ram. He just stood there, froze. And the legend says that Ram took the chandan from Tulsidas's hand and put it on his forehead. That day, a devotee was able to get the darshan of his Lord. And the bridge between the devotee and the Lord was another devotee. Now I want you to remember the word that I told you earlier, satsangam. Satsangat se nitsangam, nitsangat se nirmoham, nirmohat se nichalatam, nishtalatam te jivan muktihi. Now, it means that when we are in the association with people who believe in our truth, the journey towards our goal becomes simple. Now, don't you think the storytellers who are all here are all satsangis? We all believe in our truth, the power of stories. If you think, you will know that you have had bridges in your life with these satsangis around you. I want you to leave with the thought, who are you going to be the bridge too. Happy stories to you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lavanya. That was beautiful. There's only one thing I can say about your lovely, lovely story. You know, there's a joke that I heard. So, what did the bridge say to the river? Right? Think about it. Well, he said, I've got you covered. I think that's pretty much true of all true devotees and Lord Ram and Lord Hanuman and all our friends here. So we have to thank them. What made you choose this story, Lavanya?
Well, I wanted to find something with respect to bridges, and the first thing that came to my mind was a bridge that would help us connect on a metaphorical basis. So, I love mythology. So, my instant connection went to Ramayana. So, we know that Ramayana bridge that is there, that is built and all that,
The
was
Ram
built and all
Setu.
that. Yes, the
Yes.
Ram Setu. But I didn't want to talk anything about that. But instantly, this thing came into this just popped up, Tulsi Das's story, and it was beautiful. I mean, I never had this thought of, we being satsangis initially when I was penning down the story to write. When I finished and when I got that, phrase, that satsangatsu in sangatvam, which means that, the satsangam, the people that you are with will help you reach your goal. That is when I thought, Arey, we're all satsangis too. We're all storytellers, we're all connected, going in the same direction, and maybe we can be the bridge to other people. So,
That's wonderful. Thank you, Lavanya. Thank you for that wonderful story.
thank you so
And
much.
again, as stories move in synchronicity, our next story too is about, I won't say it is about Rama's bridge or Ram Setu, but it is about a place that is very close to that place. Our next teller, Parvathy Eswaran, brings us from the supernatural, metaphysical, metaphorical, down to earth, to the physical place where this Ram Setu was built. And this story is about a real bridge. Go ahead, Parvathy. The floor is yours. You're muted, yes.
You took the words out of my mouth. I was about to tell how come I mean, it was such a, when Ravanya was telling the story, I was thinking, somewhere even there's a connection in my story. And that's what you told Priti. Yeah, there is a connection, but mine has nothing to do with metaphors or anything. It's actual a bridge. A bridge. Let me take you back 1964. A huge cyclone which world had never witnessed before, struck the islands of the southern part of India and Sri Lanka. And that cyclone, the tidal waves are so huge. In fact, was it a tsunami? Was a doubt now people have. Was that a tsunami then? This was in 1964. And the one and only bridge which connected the holy place of Rameshwaram and the mainland India, the Pamban Bridge, got washed away. That bridge, which was an architectural marvel, an engineering marvel, because it was built on the sea. It was a single railway bridge from the mainland to that island, Rameshwaram. And all Rameshwaram, as just now Lavanya spoke about Rama, and this place is very holy to the people of India. People who visit Kashi will again come and visit Rameshwaram. It's a very, very holy place for Indians. So the lot of tourists used to go. Early days, they used to go by boats. And then in 1970, British built this sea rail bridge. It's about 2.5 kilometers from the mainland to Rameshwar. That was the only bridge. There were no road bridges then. This is the only connecting bridge. And this happened. This happened on 23rd of December, 1964. No connection between the two places. The Southern Railway decided, why let's not rebuild this bridge. It'll take a long time. No, let's not go into that. But the Indian government, who had a lot of people who they knew that would want to come to Rameshwaram because that was a holy place. They said no. We want from the parliament. The orders came. The government was asked the Southern Railway, which was controlling these bridges, the rail bridge, the entire place. You have to rebuild it. Now, one person, his name was E. Sridharan. He was in his hometown in Kerala, enjoying his vacation. A 31-year-old son, this railway engineer was at home, and then the call comes from the railway authorities to come straight. And he was told that you are going to be in charge of this rebuilding of this bridge, which is called the Pamban Bridge. Now, and we give you 6 months' time. So Sridharan went all the way down to Rameshwaram, as a southern tip of India, and went there. And all he saw was destruction. All over the place, it was destruction. It was so, he couldn't believe. He looked at the bridge. Where was the bridge? There was no bridge. There were only pillars. And there was no bridge. All the 144 spans or girders had gone washed away. 126 out of the 144. How could he build a bridge? And that is when the general manager of the Southern Railway came and informed him that you have to build it within 3 months. The 6 months became 3 months. And Sridharan looked. He had a group of engineers with him. He didn't know what to do. He looked around, and the girders, the Southern Railway said, don't worry, we will bring girders from all parts of India, and we will also manufacture girders. But it was 1964. Transport was not so easy. To get a girder from the northern part of India or Assam or Gujarat or anywhere where girders were there, it would take minimum 3 to 4 months. And here he had a time limit of just 3 months. What could he do? He just looked around, but he didn't convey anything to his superiors. Somewhere in his mind, he felt maybe that I can do something. But what could he do? Imagine girders are 200 tons, and each girder, and it has to be manufactured, brought in, impossible. That was when a group of fishermen came and told Sridharan that we can see the bridge, it has all over the place, it's lying around. Will you come and see what it is? Just 3-4 days had happened after the cyclone. The water was beautiful, blue color, transparent, beautiful. So Sridharan thought, okay, let me go with the fishermen and see what is there. And he went with the fishermen in their boats, and what he saw, looking down 10 feet, more than 10 feet down, but clear, crystal clear water, he saw a girder there. And he looked at it and came back, told his people, I think we have the girders. Nothing is wrong with that. Why don't we use those girders and rebuild our bridge? Now, everybody was excited, and the fishermen felt, oh, we are doing something. We'll also look for other girders. And they found around 2 kilometers radius, they could find many girders, all the girders all lying deep in the sea. Is the sea, not ordinary water, it was sea. And the waves and the moods of the sea were there. How to lift those girders now? Heavy girders. Immediately, Sridharan and his engineers planned something. They decided to have pontoons, and they asked their Ambattur, there was another place where a workplace was there, and say within 48 hours we need all this. It was done. Because it was, he had his friend there. So it was done. The pontoons were brought. 2 pontoons were there. The crane was there. Now the fishermen said, we will help you. There were no professional divers there. The fishermen said, we will go down and put the hook, and then we can pull it. It's no easy thing to pull a girder up. But then a group of people came all the way from north of Malabar. They are called the Khalasis. These Khalasis are people, they say maybe a mix of the Arab and Indian descent, but they have the capability of bringing out heavy things from the sea. They not only have the physical strength, they also have lot of types of urus, they call the pulleys, which help them lift all these things. They said, we will help you. And they come as a group. It's a group effort. And they said, we are here to help you lift the girders. And with a song, they started lifting the girder up and bringing it. Now, we have 126 girders to be kept. And the girder was lifted, placed on the pontoon, then dragged to the shore where they were painted, and then they were brought back and placed on this pillars. Two pillars were damaged that they could repair it. Pillars. That took 1 week. 1 week to take a girder and put, and they had to do 126 girders. And where was the time? They were given only less than 3 months. But then the next girder, they could take it within 4 days. And the next within 3 days, 2 days. And on the 45th day, the last girder was placed on this. And that day, they could keep 8 girders. And on the 46th day, the first train ran from the mainland to Rameshwar. And that is the story of the rebuilding of the Pamban Bridge. And this was through one person, E. Sridharan, who thought out of his box. But somewhere when today I was reading this, I felt it was how that fisherman came that day, how the Khalasis came. It had to happen. It happened. That is the story of this thing. So literally, it's a building of bridge, which I wanted to share because I was very fascinated reading when one of my friends, Anita, told this in Malayalam in another channel. I listened to the whole thing and I thought, isn't this also a building bridge? And I wanted to share this because it was something which was this was a marvel because you could build something so huge within a matter of 45 days.
What an amazing, amazing story about the marvel of engineering.
Yeah.
I have a question and a joke for you, Parvathy. So why did the engineer, not Mr. Sridharan, why did he quit his job designing bridges? And for everyone, can you guess? Well, no, he couldn't handle the stress of being suspended.
Oh.
Well, all right. Our next teller, Niharika, has a story that she's assured us brings us high drama. And it's talking about an almost soap opera type journey of her family. And we're very excited to come to that, to watch this journey and this drama, Niharika. So take it away. The floor is yours. I believe you're muted. If you could just unmute.
Can you hear me now? So there are two things very common in India: extended families living together and soap operas based on extended families living together. Every day at 10 p.m., all of the television sets in my neighborhood would be playing Kahani Ghar Ghar Ki, which conveniently translates to Story of Every Household. Right after that, back to back, there'd be another show called Kyunki Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi, which translates to Because the Mother-in-law was once the daughter-in-law. So, you get the theme. This was the story of the fictional Virani family. Now, this Virani family had chandeliers in their living room. They had lockers full of cash in their bedroom. And they had power struggles between women in their kitchens. The families watching them on TV had one of those things. You can guess which one that was. I grew up in one such big family. My grandmom thought she was our executive chef. Now, she never entered the kitchen. She would just shout instructions while watching soap operas from the living room. Hey, make sure to cook the rice on medium flame. Better be soft today. My dentures are still hurting from yesterday. My aunt thought she was our executive chef. Every day she'd come out, she'd ask us what we'd want for dinner, and then every day she would ignore our preferences and make potato curry. My mom was the youngest, had no experience in running a kitchen, yet she thought she was better equipped to be our executive chef. Every now and then, she would introduce a multicolored salad on the menu, and that would spike the kitchen budget and spite the other two women. I've developed a sense of humor about my family dynamic now, but honestly, I was a sensitive kid. I would sense the tension and I trembled at the slightest hint of dissent, fearing that war can break out anytime. And my anxiety wasn't misplaced. I had seen countless interactions between my family's adults escalate from what's for dinner today to eat shit. So this wasn't a soap opera for me, though. This was real life. My peeping neighbors thought it was a soap opera. They found it entertaining. But for me, I was affected by it. I didn't like the raised voices. I didn't like the foul language. And I didn't like the quiet tears of the people I loved. Honestly, I loved my big family. I liked living together. Their birthdays were special. My aunt would make her special dal makhani on all of our birthdays. And festivals were extra special. My grandparents would always get a variety of sweets, and they used to keep track of everyone's favorite. So the fridge would be stocked up every festival time. But special occasions aside, I sensed that my grandmom was generally unhappy. Your aunt is trying to kill me, she'd say. She put so much salt in my food. Look at my blood pressure. It's going all the way up. But if we eat your mom's food, no. I would just starve. I wouldn't eat your mom's food. My aunt couldn't have been happy either. No one gives a damn about how hard I work. I'm always alone, she'd say. And I realized my mom wouldn't have been happy either because I heard her say to dad once that she has no freedom, but she doesn't want to fight because she thinks that it's going to affect her daughters. And so I knew that my anxiety wasn't very well hidden. One day, after a particularly dramatic battle, my dad declared that there's going to be a separation. Now, that was a big deal. Mom, dad, my sister, and I, he said, we're going to have our separate kitchen. What? I thought, there's a separation, but we're not moving out. We're just getting a different kitchen. What is that? Like, how does that work? My 10-year-old brain just couldn't process that. So I asked questions. What's going on? What does it mean? What does it change? And my parents said, it changes nothing. Your grandparents are still your grandparents. Your uncle and aunt are still your uncle and aunt. Yeah, I knew that, but that didn't answer any of my questions. I still had so many questions. Are we not going to eat together? Can I not go to the kitchen? Do I only eat what my mom cooks? Is she gonna make salads every day? So many questions, but I knew this wasn't the time to be asking the questions. Everyone was angry. Everyone was mad. So I just stayed quiet. We had a small kitchen attached to our bedroom, but it wasn't being used as a kitchen. It was kind of being used as storage space. We had stuff all over there. My mom and dad started to clean it up. And within a couple of days, the gas connection in our small kitchen was restored. It was stocked up with groceries, and we were all set. My mom started spending a lot of time in the kitchen. Every day, she would make something different. She called it the balanced diet. I was not a fan, but trust me, I was not going to complain because, other than the fact that we had different food on our plate and that we were eating in our bedroom instead of the living room, everything was normal. And I liked normal, and I wasn't going to disturb the sense of normal in my household. So I ate whatever I was served. One day, I got back from school and I was particularly hungry, so I ran straight to the kitchen. The kitchen. The kitchen that I wasn't sure I was supposed to go to anymore or not. I had hung out in that kitchen for years while my mom and my aunt prepared food for all of us, but somehow I felt out of place that day. I knew where the tea was. I knew where the sugar was. I knew where the snacks and the sweets were hidden, but it felt out of reach. I wasn't sure if I was entitled to those sweets anymore. What's the worst that would happen? I thought. My anxious brain immediately answered. Your neighbors are going to abandon their TV sets and watch as the adults in your household battle over your mistake. Nope. I decided it wasn't worth it. I ran straight to my mom and demanded we too have snacks and sweets in our kitchen. But soon I realized that these boundaries or border restrictions that I had imagined existed between our two kitchens, those were just mainly in my head. We had more of a free trade situation going on, I realized. For instance, my cousin started joining us for dinners every weekend. He liked my mom's curries because my mom would make curries with onions, and onions were not allowed in the main kitchen for whatever reason. We didn't have to eat potato curry every day, but my aunt very nicely made her dal makhani for all our birthdays. My dad started to help out at the kitchen, something I had never seen him do before, and he wasn't half as bad as I thought he would be. And my grandmom made it a habit of asking me every day, so, what did your mom make for dinner today? And irrespective of my answer, she concluded that whatever I had was better than whatever she was served. So she was happy for me. The fighting amongst the women didn't stop. There were, of course, plenty of other reasons to fight. But something had changed. I don't know if it was the separation or the passage of time, or maybe it was just me growing up, but I felt less anxious about the fighting. And I think I started to joke about it. Every day at 10:30 p.m., my aunt, my grandmom, and my mom watched Kyunki Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi. After the episode ended, all three of these women in my family had a very different recap of what happened. My grandmom would say, "This daughter-in-law should burn in hell. Look how she tortured the poor mother-in-law today." And then my aunt would say, "Look how the mother-in-law is causing tension between the daughter-in-law and the son. So bad." And my mom would say, "Both these women are so nasty, but their husbands are cute." Thank you.
Thank you, Niharika. Thank you for that story, for sharing that very, very personal slice of your life. And it's wonderful that you can laugh about it now, but to a young girl, I can imagine how stressful and traumatic and anxious it must have made you feel. Well, with all of that now in the past, and then you're ready, I have a joke for you. So, why did the bridge decide to retire?
Enlighten me.
That would be a right answer, but really, it was only tired of being walked all over.
Aw.
So, trusting that that no one can walk over you now, and that ahead your bridges are going to be really smooth. Thank you, Niharika. As we move on to our next teller. Our next teller is somebody whom who's in the same time zone as I am. So bridges symbolize change and flexibility, right? And they show you the simple philosophy that when you're on one side, you can easily move to the other. And they fascinate us as they have from time immemorial. So our next teller is going to tell us a story about the Sydney Harbour Bridge. Joe, where are you?
I'm here in Sydney.
Oh, that's wonderful. I know you are. So may I tell them that
about
the anniversary, or is that something you're going to do?
the
The Sydney Harbour Bridge anniversary.
go right ahead. Take it away.
Okay. So the Sydney Harbour Bridge has just celebrated its 90th anniversary 2 days ago on the 19th of March. And so Joe is here to transport us to a time when the Sydney Bridge was spanking new. Take it away, Joe.
Thank you, Priti. So this is a tale of a hero. Lenny Gwyther was everything that you would expect a hero to be. He was tough, he was courageous, he was true, and he was only 9 years old. But body small, heart full. Oh, me mum, she's true blue. And me dad, he was a real war hero. And where I live in Leongatha in Victoria is the best place in the world. I haven't been to anyone else but Leongatha in Victoria, but I'm sure that's true. That's because that's what Mum says. But best of all, I've got Ginger Mick, and he's the best pony you're ever going to see. Oh. But disaster came to the family when Lenny's dad fell from a tractor and got his leg all smashed up. Because now there was no one to do the work on the farm, no one to make them sure that they didn't all starve to death. Oh, don't worry, Mum. Oh, Dad, I can do the work. I don't have to be big. I just have to keep on working. Lenny's parents were proud as well as grateful. He's a good kid, our Lenny. He deserves a reward. Not much I need. I've got everything I want with yous. But in Sydney, the only thing I want to see is with my own 2 eyes, to see the opening of the new Sydney Harbour Bridge. That's the only thing I want in the world. Well, and his mum, they need to do a bit of talking to get her to agree to a thing like that. So you want me to send my own 9-year-old son 1,000 miles across 2 states to go to the biggest city in the country all by himself? Oh, don't worry about it, Mum. I'll take a change of clothes in my pack, and I'll take food with me as well. And you can write letters to families in all the towns I'm going to, so I've got a place to stay. And Dad can meet me in Sydney, and he can meet it, and we'll go back in a boat. It'll be ripper, Mum. You'll be pleased. You'll be happy. You're not going to say no, are you, Mum? How could she say So he waves goodbye to farm and family, and then off he's going, and he's riding out through the bushland, the 1,000 miles to get to New South Wales. Lenny on Ginger Mick riding, Lenny on Ginger Mick riding, Lenny on Ginger Mick riding to the Sydney Harbour Bridge. It's into the bush. It's crowded, and I don't like the look of this, Ginger. There's something not right. Oh, see them wallabies. They're all galloping out of the bush. That's not the way they should go. And there's all this haze. I can hardly see where we're going now. Do you smell smoke? Oh, crikey, Ginger. We're in the middle of a flaming bushfire. I can't see where we're going. I don't like this. I don't like this at all. I don't want to be here. I don't know where we're going. Oh, my mum. But Ginger Mick, best horse he could ride. Ginger Mick was on his side, and he could lead him on, just trotting his way through the bush until they made their way to the nearest township. You people been real good to me. You gave me in when I was dirty, and you cleaned me up, and you gave me food and a bed, and you were real nice to me too. Oh, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep on riding, and I'll take your messages on to the next town so we can get to know each other. And I'm going to keep on riding, because I want to see a Sydney Harbour Bridge. We kept on riding on through the bush until we reached the next township, moving on, and now it started to rain. Oh, and the rain is falling until poor old Lenny is drenched through. And the sound of the river is surging through just in the distance there until the river bursts its banks. And poor old Ginger Mick, he's wading his way through those waterways. Oh, crikey, Ginger, it's not one thing, it's another. First it's fire, now it's flood. We do. I wonder what Dad'd say I should do. Well, can't go back, can I? Got to keep on riding, because that's the only way we're going to see the bridge, right? I'll just keep on riding. And so he kept on riding all that distance from town to town. And everywhere he went, more and more people would gather around to shake his hand and to pat Ginger Mick as they kept on going. He got so far that they weren't too far off from the big city of Sydney when they stumbled upon a campsite surrounded by men, swaggies, men made homeless by the Depression, desperate men with nothing to lose. And those swaggies looked up from the campfire and they saw a fine piece of horseflesh with only a little boy for protection. Oh, this ain't good, Ginger. They're not like the people we've been meeting. These men, they're trying to frighten me, though, aren't they? They think they can. They don't know what we've done, do they? They don't know. We're not going to stop. Nothing can stop us now. We're off to see the Sydney Harbour Bridge. And we kept on riding. Lenny on Ginger Mick, riding. Lenny on Ginger Mick, riding. Lenny on Ginger Mick, riding to the Sydney Harbour Bridge. And there they were, in the big smoke. City of Sydney. Oh, my word. 10-story buildings they got here. Trams. And what else? The Sydney Harbour Bridge. And there it is. Who'd have thought it, eh? That we'd be the ones that crossed this bridge, and the Prime Minister there, and people all around, and us, Ginger Mick and me. They're riding in the parade. And all the people coming up to us, and they're all saying how we're like the the hope of the future. We're like their sons. They're the sons from all of them. And they're that glad to see us, what we can do with hope and coming together. It's like Ginger, Mick and me, we're the Sydney Harbour Bridge. We're bringing it all together. And the future's looking good. And when Dad comes up, we're going to tell him, ain't we? Oh, we're not going home with you, Dad, not in the boat. Coming over here, it was so good. I'm going to do the whole trip all over again. Only this time, we're going home. Lenny on Ginger Mick, riding. Lenny on Ginger Mick, riding. Lenny on Ginger Mick, riding from the Sydney Harbour Bridge.
Thank you, Joe. That was lovely. Awesome. Peda has something to add to us. So, Peda, go right ahead before I give Joe her joke.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. So, Peda, you had something to say. Just unmute and speak. And just speak.
Hello?
Yes, Peda.
Hey, I am driving and the stories today are very, very good. Joe, thank you for that lesson. That was a pure lesson to me on how to tell Lenny and Ginger Mick. I have told it a number of times, but Joe, you have put so much love into it. May I pinch some of your marvelous
A bridge from New South Wales to Old North Wales. Take it and ride with it.
Honestly, Joe, that was fantastic.
Oh, sure.
Honestly, thank you very, very much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peda. So this one's just right appropriate for you, Joe. So, what do you call a bridge that's always happy?
Tell me, Priti, what do you call a bridge
It's a jubilant junction, which is pretty much what your story is about.
Oh, pretty. What are we going to do with you?
What are you going to do with me? Well, thank you, Joe. That was so much fun because I didn't know that such young children traveled thousands of kilometers to go and see the opening of this bridge. And it is the making of history. So that's amazing. Thank you.
Is this also based on a true story, or this was fiction?
Oh, no. This is fact. That's Lenny.
Oh,
That
wow.
is the little boy.
That's Lenny
Yes.
Glover just there. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's books about him called Lenny the Legend.
So thank you for that, Joe. That was lovely. And our next teller, let's begin. I heard a quote when I've just heard the titles of the stories right now, right? So the biggest one is like, the next one is, the biggest emotion in creation is the bridge to optimism. So our next teller, Jamsheena, has a story about resilience and about optimism and a bridge that spans and takes you to the other side of despair. So Jamsheena, go right ahead and be with us.
Hi all. I think I'm audible. Am I audible,
Yes, you are.
everybody?
Yes, you are. Please go ahead.
All right. Yes. So my story is about two friends, Amina and Bushra. This is about, as she said, it is about a resilience in women. Uh, Basically comes under the category female empowerment. I'm going to tell you about an incident which helped Amina to be resilient in her life. So let's go. Mm, Amina is sitting in a railway platform waiting for her train to come. And in India, trains are always late. But she was in a hurry and she was waiting for the train to come. Slowly, the train has arrived around half an hour late. She just jumped into the train and she looked around and she saw the window seat, which is her favorite one, and she sat near the window seat. She was looking around and nobody was there, so she felt so calm and she was looking outside. It was around 6 o'clock, 6:30, and she could see the sun was setting down. She was always thought, this is so beautiful. She could see the orange shades of sun all the time, and she felt like writing something, and she took her diary with her. She started writing down, but she was not able to write anything at that moment. She was just looking outside and enjoyed the beauty of nature. And the train was slowly moving to a rural village in Kerala, and she saw a girl waving at her. And she was so happy because she used to do that when she was a child, and she waved her back. It suddenly reminded her of her old friend Bushra. When she started writing down, she doesn't know what to write about Bushra because there were tons of memories about Bushra and Amina. I would say that Amina and Bushra, they make a lot of fun in school, and teacher would say that Amina and Bushra, I saw you both at the ice cream shop. Why are you going there? It is not good for your health. Um, Sorry, miss, I will not do it again. And they are so much of fun, and they studied very well too. It was a day before their summer vacation, and she was getting ready for the examination. They were sitting together in the classroom and they were studying. And Amina is not good in mathematics, so she was like, A plus B the whole square is equal to A square plus 2AB plus B square. Is it plus b square or minus b square? And she was so confused. And she just went to Bushra and asked, Bushra, is it a plus b the whole square, a square plus 2ab plus b square or minus b square? And Bushra was sitting like this. She was very sad. And she said, a square plus 2ab plus b square. And Bushra was like, okay, you know the answer, and both of them were fine. And but still, Bushra was very sad, and Amina asked her again, "Why are you very sad?" And Bushra said, "Amina, I want to tell you one thing, and I don't think I'm okay." And Amina said, see, I know that you are not okay, but you are always good in maths. So we can do one thing. We'll talk after the exam. And Bushra said, no, 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 no. I want to talk to you now itself. And Amina asked, okay, is it about the guy that bullied you last week? And Bushra said, no, it is not about that. And Amina was so scared and she asked, what happened to you? And Bushra said, Amina, my father is pressuring me to get married. I think I'll be getting married next month. What? You are getting married? But we are just 13 years old. And how can you say that you are getting married? You tell your father that you are not going to study. You tell your father, I will not eat anything from home. And Bushra said, I told a lot of things to my father, but he's not agreeing with it. Have you told your mother? Because mother always good for you, no? So just tell her. And she said, Bushra said, um, I don't think so because my mother used to be very silent at home, but this time she stood for me. She fought for me. But when next day, when she came out of bedroom, I could see her cheek was red in color. And I understood that if I don't get married, my father will be beating my mother to death. And I don't want to see that. That made her feel so bad. And Amina was so scared. She doesn't know what to tell Bushra and how to say that it is okay. And they were looking each other for a long time and were not able to study anything. And suddenly the bell rang. When the bell rang, she said that, okay, let's write the exam and let's see what we can do. And they went to their seat and started writing examination. But Amina was very stubborn. She was not able to write anything. She was very angry. She was feeling painful and she went back after the examination. After 1 week, with lot of thoughts, with lot of sleepless nights, she came to a plan and she thought that, okay, I'll call the police. And you know what she did? Amina went to the telephone booth with few coins with her, the coins that may change completely the life of Bushra. And when she went there, she started calling and she looked around to see whether somebody is looking at her or not. And she took the phone and she called the police. Hello, is this police station? Yes, this is police station. My friend Bushra is getting married, but she is 13 years old. And can you help her? Okay, I can help her. Where is she staying? I don't know the address, but she is staying near the VMN school. You know the school? She is staying very near to it. Okay, I'll take care of it. You can go home. Okay, police. Then she was very happy because things are all sorted out. She went back to her home thinking that she'll be coming right back after the summer vacation. And after 2 months, when she went to the school, she was looking around. When will Bushra come? And what bravery she did for Bushra. And Bushra came to the class, but something was changed for her. When she came, they hugged each other. They were very happy. And Bushra said, I told you I'll come to the class. And then they came to the class. They were talking a lot of things. And in between, Bushra said to Amina, I want to tell you one thing. I got married. And out of shock, Amina asked, how did that happen? I told the police uncle, and I hope he came to meet you, right? And Bushra said, yes, he did. He came to meet my father. He had biryani, he had desserts, and he left. What? He came to eat biryani and he left? He didn't do anything about it? He didn't talk to you? And she was again feeling so angry about what was happening around her. And Bushra said, it is okay, Amina. I now know how I can manage everything, and it is fine. Amina didn't say anything about it. They sat together for 1 more week, but things were not as they how it used to be. And 1 week, on a one fine day, Bushra fell ill, and somebody came from her home, and she went back to home. She didn't even say a bye to Amina. And after a few days, she came to know that Bushra was pregnant, and she was shocked to hear that a child in Amina was not able to understand that this is something good or this is something bad, but obviously she was not happy about it. Amina rushed to her home. She hugged her parents. She cried a lot. During sleeping, she was not able to sleep. She used to talk a lot about Bushra, and she said, I think, Amma, I'm not able to help her properly. I'm not a good friend for Bushra. Amina cried a lot. And maybe seeing all her pain, seeing all her ache, then her mother told her, Amina, it is okay. You did what you can, and it is absolutely fine because you need to be prepared for a more world of chaos. And I'm sure that you can do a lot of things if you can do this. And she trusted, she worked very hard. She met a lot of people. Years passed by. She traveled a lot. She traveled across the country. She met a lot of women across the country, from tribal region, from Sandal tribes to Adivasis to people in corporate companies. The common thing that she felt and experienced among all the women that she met is resilience. Because storm does come, and I would say that a lot of things, a lot of disasters may happen, but the foundation that was built by women like Ammu Swaminathan, Dakshinayani Velayathan, to Justice Fatima Bibi, and so many Bushras and so many Aminas, I think it is the strongest bridge that we are building. And when she was thinking about all these things, the train stopped and she stepped down. She just walked and she could see the railway bridge. And she thought, standing here, I should think that the train is going to another destination and where there will be a lot of women with a lot of stories, but obviously the story will have always the idea of the bridge of resilience. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamsheena. That was a lovely story, certainly giving us a lot of optimism and a lot of hope for the future. I had a friend who was married at 15 years old, and I never saw her again when she did. And I mean, I still think of Shaheen. She used to make beautiful mehendi designs, and she was a very, very sweet, very sweet. I was only 12, so I kind of looked up to her. So yes, there are a lot of Aminas and a lot of Bushras in this world, and it takes people like the ones that you mentioned to perhaps bring change and take us, build the bridge from the past to the future as we are doing now. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here today. That is a beautiful story. For our next story,
Thank you.
love is a bridge that all friends must walk on. And Jamsheena reminded me of my friend. And I know Zip has a story about someone that spans a lifetime with a story of friendship. Zip, before you go on, is there a reason you chose the story, or?
There's something about this story, but I'd like to say it after I tell the story.
Excellent. Go right ahead.
Hi, everyone. I am Zip Tran. I'm in Singapore, but today I'm not Zip. Today I'll be Jessica. I'm Jessica, 30 years old, and a musician from Vancouver, Canada. And today I'd like to show you my treasure box. This is my treasure box. And in here, there is something that is so precious to me, something that I've kept for more than 20 years. And let me show it to you now. Here they are. Letters, handwritten letters from someone special. Let me read you one. Dear Jessica, I still remember the first time I saw you. You were so tall. You were taller than all of us. And your hair was blonde. And you didn't speak any Japanese at all. Yes, that was true. When I was 9 years old, my parents had English teaching job in Japan. So my family moved to a small town called Saku and lived there for a year. I went to a local primary school, and the first day at school was a disaster. Everybody pointed at me, and they said something in Japanese I didn't understand. And some kids got closer to me, but they didn't want to make friends. They just wanted to touch my blonde hair to see whether it was real. There was only one kid, just one kid, who was really interested in knowing me. Her name was Fukue, and we became best of friends. But after 1 year, my family moved to Vancouver. We got to return, and Fukue and I became pen pals immediately. We wrote to each other almost every month. Let me read you some more. Dear Jessica, guess what? My mother just gave birth to a baby sister. Dear Jessica, oh, I miss the snack you used to share with me. You know, my parents cannot afford nice snacks. So, ever since you left, I've never eaten it again. Dear Jessica, remember the kids who used to bully me? They are really mean to me again. Wish you were here to protect me like you used to do. I was really excited every month when I received Fukue's letter. But all of a sudden, I didn't hear from her again. And for the last 20 years, I never stopped thinking about her. I never stopped wondering why she didn't write me anymore. And I never stopped worrying something bad had happened to her. 2 years ago, I started looking online for Fukue. But no social accounts, no social media accounts, no photos, nothing. So this year, when I turned 30, I decided that I'd go back to Japan to find Fukue. I did go to the old school that we went to. You know what I found? I found out that Fukue left school after 4th grade and never came back. Nobody knew what happened to her and her family. I even went to the town council and asked about the record of Fukue's family. But they said they couldn't give away details like that. I was so desperate and I was struggling with my limited Japanese. I had to hire a translator to help me. And one night when I was lying awake wondering where Fukue is right now and whether anything bad happened to her, oh, a thought just came to me. Yes, social media. I have to use social media. So I wrote a long post on Facebook to let everybody know that I was looking for Fukue. The next day, I went to the local station. I was standing there with a picture of Fukue and me when we were kids. So many people took photos of me and videos. I became famous. The videos went viral. And fortunately, the hard work paid off. I received a call from someone, and she said she knew Fukue's sister. I immediately called Fukue's sister, and guess what? She gave me Fukue's number. I was literally so shaky before I called Fukue. What am I doing? Does she even remember me? Will she want to see me? It's been so long. But eventually I gathered all my courage and called Fukue. Hello? Is it Fukue? I spoke Japanese, of course. Yes. This is Jessica. Oh, hi, Jessica. It's been so long. My sister told me you were in town. I cannot believe it. Oh, would you be able to meet? Sure, of course. How about that cafe near our old school? Sure, I'll see you there. So the next day, I went to the cafe and I met Fukue there. I couldn't hold back tears when I saw her. She looked lovely and mature, of course. But even though 20 years had passed, I still can't recognize that kid who I used to hang out with every day at school, my only Japanese friend. We hugged, we held hands, we both cried a lot. I didn't ask her why she stopped writing me, but she told me, Jessica, when you were there, I went to school every day because nobody bullied me when you were with me. But after you left, I got bullied again, to the point that I didn't want to go to school anymore. So I stopped going to school. I just wanted to disconnect with everyone. And that's why I stopped writing. I cannot believe that happened to Fukue. I can imagine it happened to a 9-year-old, kind-hearted, beautiful kid. But I was so relieved to know that Fukue got back to school after that. A different school, of course, and she was so much happier there. And she's now, she has a job, she has a husband who loves her so much, and two awesome kids. I'm just so happy that even though she had to drop out of primary school because of bullying, she was still able to get to where she is today. She's so happy and she loves her life. And I think she has a beautiful life. When I returned to Vancouver, we promised that we would write each other regularly, like we did when we were kids. Have you ever wondered where your childhood friends are right now? Have you ever wondered what they are doing right now? Do you have a good friend that you've lost contact with? Maybe it's time to reconnect. I found Fukue, and I hope you'll find your Fukue too. That's my story, and thank you for listening.
Thank you, Zip. Thank you so much. What a treasure it is. It really is. Friendship and faith and resilience, and it's all bridges. We have one more story left, and I'd love to chat more about your story, Zip, but I'd love to hear the second story as well. So I'm going to cut our conversation short a little bit, and we're going to move forward to our next teller.
Hello. I'm very happy to be telling a story. Gives me the chance to tell one of my favorite stories. So yeah, I'm going to grab it. And this is a story from China, a very old story. Long ago in China, there were two villages, one on either side of a river. On this side of the river was the village of Wei, and on that side was the village of Chu. Now, in the village of Wei, the people were farmers, and they grew melons. But oh, what melons did they grow? Oh, their melons were so juicy, so sweet, so fragrant. When they took them to the market, the people would scramble and fight to get them. And of course, they got a very good price for them. And so the people of Wei grew prosperous. Now, on the other side of the river, in the village of Chu, the people also grew melons. But their melons were not famous. In fact, they were rather infamous for being dry and mealy and not very flavorful. They did sell them, but only the poorest people would buy them, and they got very little money for them. And so the people of Chu remained poor. Now, one evening in the village of Chu, some of the men gathered together, and they started talking and drinking and talking. And as the evening wore on, the talk went to the other side of the river. Wei, those people, why should they have so much? Why can't we have what they have? And as the evening wore on and the men drank more, the talk got more and more angry, until at last one man said, "Listen, let's go tonight and destroy their melon fields." And the men were drunk enough that they agreed. It sounded like a really good plan. And so they went back to their homes and they got their axes and their chunkles, and very quietly, or as quietly as drunken men can, they crept over the bridge, over into the village of Wei, through the main street, past the houses and out into the melon fields. And they hacked and hacked and hacked until no melon or melon plant was left. All were destroyed. Now, the next morning, the villagers of Wei went out into their fields and their mouths dropped open at what they saw. They could not believe it. But it did not take them very long before their eyes went over the river to the village of Chu. They knew who had done it, and they were angry. And they said, "Let us go tonight and we'll destroy their fields in return." But in the village of Wei, there was a headman, Song. He was old, but he had some wisdom. And he gathered the people together and he says, "I know you are angry. I am angry too. It is right you are angry at what they have done. But think, our two villages have lived in peace for so long. If you go tonight and destroy their melon fields, we will become enemies. Do not go tonight, but instead go this morning. Do not take your axes and chunkles. Instead, take your watering cans. Go and water the melon fields of Chu. For the reason that they are poor, the reason that they are envious, is because they do not yet know how to grow good melons like we do. Go and teach them. They need to know the right time to water them, the amount of water to give, what to feed them, when to harvest them. Go and teach them." Now the men and the women, the whole village was still angry, but they respected Song. And eventually they decided that this should be the plan. And so they went and they took their watering cans and they dipped them in the river and filled them and walked into the village of Chu over the bridge. When the Chu villagers saw them coming, they were frightened. And then they were puzzled as they started to water the melons. Was this some sort of trick? Were they trying to poison their crop? But the Wei villagers started to talk to them, started to teach them. And gradually, they started to listen and they started to learn. And in time, the Chu villagers were able to grow sweet, juicy, luscious, delicious melons. And they too grew prosperous. And if you went to the markets, you would hear about those wonderful melons from Wei, but also those delicious melons from Chu. The Chu villagers were grateful for what their neighbors had done for them. And so they had a special medal of friendship struck and presented to Song, the headman of the village. And if you go to China today and you happen to find those two villages, one on either side of a river, go to the village of Wei and ask for the headman's house and ask to see that medal of friendship, because I think it's still there.
Thank you, Sheila. Thank you. That was such a lovely story and one of my absolute favorites, giving you that the bridge, the true bridge between between enmity and friendship and trust and understanding. So you can never have too many melons, as Rachel says. You cannot have too many bridges. So thank you.
I just say this is a very old story from the Warring States period in China, and it was originally the state of Wei and the state of Chu, but I made it villages because it's more human.
Definitely. So everybody, that's all we have time for tonight. I'm trusting that our session of stories has built that bridge to optimism and happiness, and even, the real bridge that Parvathy had of pure engineering marvels. So, but the theme today has been not only the bridge, but it has been growth and optimism and looking forward. And let us do that. Let us today take all of these stories forward as we do, and build our own bridges in our own lives. Thank you, and a very good night.